Hello everyone, welcome to Yamen's Take on Things. Today we have a very special episode and it's on the pajama party, and we're going to be talking about something very, very controversial, and hopefully you enjoy it. Today we're talking about feminism, and I have three guests here with me. I have Ada, who is a feminism enthusiast, and I have Edose and Adrian, who are the creators of 052 podcast. So, to begin, where to begin? First off, I'm going to throw this question open. And what does feminism mean to you, basically? So, let's start with Ada. Tell us, what does feminism mean to you?
Okay. So basically, there's this feminist slogan, like a slogan that feminists use: equal rights and opportunities for all. And I really think that's really what feminism means: the power of women to make their own choices. So society is not saying that this is for men only, but this you give women the opportunity. Now they can decide if they really want to do that. So equal rights, opportunities for all genders. Basically, that's what feminism means.
Okay, thank you. Adrian?
Well, I would agree with her to some extent, in the sense that basically, from the definition, what feminism means, equal rights for both sexes. I think the emphasis should be on equal rights for both sexes, whether economically, socially, what have you. So when you have these equal rights for both sexes, then I feel that's what's in its sense, what feminism stands for, basically.
Okay. Edose, anything to add to that?
Yeah, of course. Feminism, to me, I would not want to use the word equal rights, right?
Okay.
I would rather say equity, okay? Because if you should go by equal rights, then it's still going to be unfair to the women.
Okay.
I'll give you examples as we go on the show. It's still going to be unfair to you, but I would rather say feminism to me is equity for women, socially, economically, politically, and thoughts. Their thoughts. Yeah, I'll just say that for now.
Okay, so this has actually piqued my curiosity because I want to know what you mean by the difference between equality and equity in this situation. Please tell us,
Okay.
just explain further.
Equality is law, right? Equality is law, but equity is, I would say equity is love, equity is understanding, equity is fairness, right? If we should go by equality, let me just give you a very, very harsh example. Let me use the word harsh example. If you go by equality and you say equal rights for men and women, if I bring 2 bags of rice to the house, right? If I'm taking a bag inside as a man, my wife is taking a bag inside too.
Okay.
Equality. But equity says, okay, you are the guy, you guys are not equal in strength, all right? And then you understand that this girl, this lady cannot carry this bag. Just understand that, and then you carry it in for her.
Oh.
That is more like equity. You understand what I'm saying? You understand the other person. You get me?
Okay, so you're saying that equality is going to be like, okay,
Yeah,
everything
so
should be the same across board, but equity should be about fairness, what your capacity is, what your ability is. Okay, I think I understand that.
exactly.
I don't know if I agree yet, but I think I understand what you're saying. So let's just move on. So, okay, general question: do you identify as a feminist? Yes or no? Yes or no? Quickly.
No, I don't. No.
I do.
Don't. You do.
I do.
You know what?
Yes.
I used to be scared of being called a feminist, but I think I do, because everybody should be feminist in reality.
Yes. So, Adrian, you said you do not. And if your definition of feminism, which you said it should be equal rights among the sexes, so the fact that you're not identifying as a feminist, are you saying you do not believe there should be equal rights, or what?
I based on the definition, I agree with the philosophy, the idea of equality in that sense. But however, to some extent, I feel like I don't agree with the word feminist in itself. But however, I agree with the ideology. Okay, I would rather use the word humanist or equalist than use the word feminist. You get,
Okay.
At the end of the day, what we are clamoring for is basic human rights for both. I always emphasize the word for both sexes. If females have rights, do not forget also that males also have rights. So basically, we are both humans, and so we have rights. So everything we are both fighting for, whether you're saying, whether you are against gender mutilation, whether you are against equal pay for both male and female, just basic human rights for me.
Okay.
So I would rather want to identify as a humanist.
Okay, so if I get you correctly, your problem is in that FEM in the front of the feminism.
And how it relates and how it's being carried out in modern times. So, for example, if you look at the evolution of feminism in itself, first wave, second wave, third wave feminism, I would firmly agree with the first and second wave feminism, the ideology of feminism for first and second wave, when you are talking about rights for women to vote, right for women to be voted for in first wave feminism. Second wave feminism, when you're talking about women also have the right to go to school, women have the right to be employed in the same job as a man if they have the capability, they have the strength and so on. But I won't agree with third wave feminism as it relates or as they carry the message they have carried the message of feminism in the last 3 decades.
Okay,
so for example,
I might have to stop you there because
okay,
what you're saying right now is that because of how people have embodied the name feminist is why you do not agree with it.
Exactly, yes.
You agree with the philosophy, then I feel like it doesn't matter who.
That makes you a feminist.
Exactly, it doesn't matter who is trying to destroy the name because
that's where the scuffle is.
Okay, let me give you an example. It's just like we know Muslims, right? We have friends who are Muslims. They are good people. They are, in fact, lovely people. But then there are the Muslims that bomb whole countries and whole cities and everything like that. So would you not say people should not identify as Muslims because there are some radicals that are trying to destroy the philosophy?
I'm actually not, it's a free word. I'm actually not against anybody who wants to identify as a feminist, but I will not identify as a feminist.
Okay.
I will not be in that camp to identify as a feminist, even though I believe in women's rights. I believe in women's rights. I believe in men's rights as well. So it's just basic human rights for everybody. So I would basically want to use the word humanist, basically.
Okay, that's totally fine. So the next question, which now comes up with the whole modern day feminism, right? So we know that, like in Nigeria or in Africa, yes, there have been some tribes and ethnic groups that you see the women are basically the head. They call matriarchal ethnic groups, right? So you see the women are the ones that go to the market. Sorry, I say market. The farms. The farms are the ones that farm. They're the ones that do everything and bring all the produce home. So can we really say that feminism evolved from the Western world? That's the first question. And the second question is, the way feminism is today, do you think it is actually influenced by pop culture, that's popular culture, or what we see on TV, the music we hear, right? So this question is actually going to Ada first, then we'll go to Edose, then back to Adrian.
Okay. I never really thought of that angle where in Nigeria some women have to work. I've never really thought about it. So it's actually possible that feminism did not really evolve in the Western world as it is, because women have to step up when their husbands or the men in their families were not stepping up. But the way feminism is now, the way it is now, we don't use that as an example, because I feel like pop culture has actually influenced how we, especially in the homes, in marriage, when women are coming up with this idea of everything 50-50. No, you know how it has been recently. So your question, I think pop culture has actually influenced how feminism is, especially in this part of the country right now, in Nigeria especially. I think pop culture has really influenced it.
Okay. So before I go to Edose, basically, you are saying that because we need to actually differentiate between gender roles and feminism, because I feel like a lot of people confuse the both of them. People think that, okay, because men do a certain type of job and a woman does a certain type of job, then they are not equal. So that's why I agree with Edose in the sense that it depends on your capability, right? Like, I didn't answer the question of what does feminism mean to me. For me, I feel like it's about being able to choose whatever you want to do. So if as a woman I want
exactly.
if as a woman I want to start building my body and my muscles so that I can carry a bag of rice home when my husband comes home with a bag of rice, then it is my choice. I shouldn't be looked at as weird or strange, right? So, or to be suppressed by saying that, okay, there's a certain limit that I should not exceed or should not surpass. So I feel like when we're answering these questions of feminism, we should try to differentiate. Are we talking about gender roles? Are we talking about actual equality or equity, as Edose has said? So Edose, please, from what I've said now, can you tell us if feminism actually developed in the Western world and if pop culture has affected what feminism is today?
I don't think feminism developed in the Western world. No, there's always been feminism. Even in Nigeria, there's always been feminism, like the About Women riots. That was an act of feminism because they were fighting for something for the women. But in Nigeria today, pop culture has changed the essence of feminism. What we see now is not what I see. Let me not say what we see. What I see, the fight I see on social media right now for feminism is not for gender equity. It's not for girls' right to go to school or women's right to vote or women in power and stuff. It's just all about relationships right now. Women versus the men. So, and all that is because of pop culture. What they see on TV, especially on DSTV, because they do a lot of women stuff. So people see these celebrities, female celebrities, how they act and how they do their stuff with their men, and then they try to emulate that in Nigeria, and that's just what the fight is about. Excuse me, in Northeast, there are still girls that are not in school right now. If you come to Benin, there are places where you see lots of northern children, girls just lining the streets. They're not going to school, they're just begging. Nobody's empowering these girls, but then they come to their WhatsApp and start talking, I'm a feminist. Pop culture has definitely changed the essence of feminism. Definitely.
Okay. So Adrian.
I think we have always been African state has always been a patriarchal it's always been based on patriarchy, basically. And so, but when you ask if there's always been feminism in this part of the world, I would say yes. Like Edison said, the about women's riots. There's the foremost feminist Formula Ransom Kuti, Fela's mom, also. And you've had women, like for example, you mentioned the women stepping up, as she said. You have Igbo women who have always been strong, who have always been somewhat breadwinners when their husbands can't step up. So I don't think that it's something that we have absorbed from Western culture. It has always been in our culture. Then speaking of, it has always been inherent in our culture. Speaking of the influence of pop culture, definitely you can tell from movies, you can tell from social media, you can tell from, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. As I said, the essence has been lost, basically, to some extent has been lost. So in that sense, yes, there's been influence of pop culture on modern feminism.
Okay, thank you guys so much. So now we see in our, let's say in our age grade, so let's say between maybe 20 to 35, so millennial kind of thing, right? We've seen that we have different views on feminism. Like some people will say, oh, a man is supposed to be this and this and that. It's supposed to be the head of the house. The woman is supposed to submit, all those kind of things. My question is, do you think upbringing and background have any influence on how a person views feminism? So, Ada.
Of course, your environment, your upbringing affects not just feminism, everything, how you see everything. Somehow it's like nature or nurture rather, the nature, nurture, and culture. So those things influence how you see, you have your views on some certain topics, such as feminism. Now, for someone like me, I would say my background must have influenced it because we're all girls. So I didn't have any boy to contend with. I didn't see any of that in the home. And then I grew up and I noticed some funny things. Some people looking down on me because I was a woman, or some people thinking that I could not do some certain things, which I had not seen in my own upbringing. The first how I started calling myself a feminist was it was somebody insulted me. It was an insult from somebody else. So I had never associated. I used to avoid calling myself a feminist. I didn't really used to associate. I used to avoid trouble because on social media, so they start dragging you.
Yeah.
But just the way I live my life, I feel like I have the power to choose, make my own decision. I'll do some certain things that people say, and you're a woman, not to think that just because I'm a woman. Like I'm totally shameless sometimes. You know how men don't have shame. They have confidence, whatever they like. But women are taught to women are taught to be ashamed of certain things. So you have to create yourself outside, talk in a certain manner, you know all those things. And then somebody told me, you are not a feminist. I had never called myself a feminist before, and just by my way of life, they call me a feminist. And I said, maybe that is what I am. So I'm sure my environment, like my growing up, would have influenced it. I grew up in the midst of girls. I went to an all-girls boarding house. I didn't have any of that. This is the girl thing in my own setting. So I feel like the fact that the first few years of my life, I just had girls to compete with. I didn't have any reason to feel like I had to be better than a boy or anything. It kind of built my own ideologies concerning my gender and concerning how I should behave in the society. So I didn't feel like I needed to be suppressed.
Okay, I totally understand what you're saying. So for you, your upbringing just like formed you into a feminist without you even knowing. You just knew that you had to survive as a woman, you had to compete with whoever. So you didn't care whether it was man, woman, whatever. So Edose, what about you?
Upbringing does, right? It does. It has a massive role to play in how someone sees feminism. I grew up in a house where no fault of my parents at all, but there was this gender role in my house. Guys, you wash the car and you sweep and do this other stuff. Lady or girls, you wash the plates and you cook. All right? That's upbringing for me. I'm not blaming my parents for anything, but that's my upbringing. And if I should grow up with that mindset and be like, the woman is supposed to cook and the man is supposed to wash the car, I will starve. You get me? So, exactly. So, even though upbringing has a role to play, but I feel like we should always try to, grow from that, read, change our mind, hear the other side, see the other side, see the woman for what they are. Because I cannot relate to what you are passing through. I have never had any case of sexual harassment before, so I cannot relate. But you just have to be open-minded and change your views on some certain things about this topic, feminism?
Adrian.
Well, I think upbringing is one of the factors, together with other many factors, but it's also a major factor in the ideology of, for example, as I said before, in Africa is more of a patriarchal system in most ethnic groups, and so you have the idea of the man being the provider, being the one to take care, being the one to provide care, and the woman assisting in that sense in certain ethnic groups. And so when you grow up with this kind of mentality, you also as a man be a provider and also and take care of the family in that sense. So yes, upbringing has a major role to play, but that's not the only thing when you're talking about feminism.
Okay, thank you. So this particular question now, we're all Christians here, right? Or at least we have a Christian background, right? So my question is, do we think that Christianity or religion, because it's almost the same in almost other religions as well, do you think religion has a factor to play in suppressing women? Because if you go to church and they are telling you that your wife must submit, your wife cannot wear trousers because it's a whatever, your wife cannot open her hair because she would bring shame to her husband, all those kind of things, we see them as, okay, these are the rules or these are the morals we're supposed to go by as Christians. So what would you say as a Christian now? Would you say that you are trying to oppose that? Because you cannot say you're a feminist on one hand and then tomorrow when it now comes down to it and you are faced with a decision to make, either with your wife, your girlfriend, or anybody that is really close to you, then you change your opinion just to suit you at that particular moment. So my question is, what is the influence of Christianity on your view of feminism? Right? On your own view, not the world now, personally. So let's go, Auntie. So Edo said first.
That's nothing. Christianity has nothing. If you think Christianity has a role to play on suppressing women, then you are not being open-minded, because the same Bible tells you that a man and his wife will become one. So all those part of what he said again about submissive, right? I think it's just for the both of them, the husband and the wife, to be understanding. You get me? I don't really know how to say this, but basically Christianity has nothing to do with suppressing women at all. Because in the Bible, there are powerful women, Ruth, and the women, powerful women, but that has nothing to do with it.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Let's allow you form your thoughts, but let me tell you something. Like, I get you what you're trying to say, and I feel like it's your personal decision not to allow Christianity to suppress your own views. But if you read the Bible well, you need to really read the Bible and see the things that happen. Like, yes, we all know that you can actually you can interpret anything in the Bible to suit you. When the slave masters were enslaving people, it was the Bible they were using. They said your servant must be, it was the Bible. So we'll come back to you. Adrian, you tell us what you think about Christianity and feminism.
I don't think it does. Like when I was saying about being a humanist, it's also like the basic tenets of Christianity is love your neighbor as yourself, basically. So if you are saying that's the basic tenets of Christianity, then it falls down to what I was saying about being human, having that essence of being human. Then we'll have all these conversations. I think we look at it as if when you say like a male is superior to the female, or a female is superior to the male, I think that's where the scuffle is. If basically as a Christian, I believe in the fact that I should treat the next person as I want to be treated, then we shouldn't be having we shouldn't be having any scuffle of what we are saying is feminism in itself, because it's basic being human is being human. I think that's the line of thoughts I will go with.
Okay. So Ada, what do you think?
Okay, so this part is very sweet for me because I'm a Christian and I had to settle it. I won't say I had to find a justification, but I really had to understand what it meant to be a feminist and a Christian at the same time. And I actually I strongly believe that God is a feminist. In terms of value, because I look at equality in terms of value. Are men more valuable than women, or are women more valuable than men? You know how it is. So I think I like to look at it in the context of what was God's intention when He created both male and female. He created both of them in His image, and He said two of you should go and dominate. He say the man should dominate and the woman should look after the man. A whole lot of things got messed up in the garden, and then God said, you know what, you serve your husband because it's like,
Okay.
So, but if you look at, because most people read the Bible to justify whatever, they just pick one verse and they try to justify, make themselves feel better about the decisions that they have already made in their own hearts. And I feel like everybody should read the Bible holistically, read the Bible as a whole. Don't look at it as them just speak out this one scripture. How did Jesus treat women? How does God see women? Does He see them less than men? When Christ came back, even Paul said there's no male, there's no female, no Jew, no Greek. God, the entire purpose of reconciliation was to bring us back to the initial state. This was what God intended for both men and women, to go out and dominate, rule and have dominion. And that's how I like to see myself. God values me as much as He values a man.
Okay.
I have to say, for me, that's my own personal. I know some people might disagree. But
yeah, it's a personal, definitely.
That's
like
how I feel.
For me as well, just like you said, I had to reconcile with myself and ask myself what exactly I'm taking out of Christianity, because there are two things involved. Christianity means the followership, or a Christian means a follower of Christ, right? But then we also sometimes reading the Bible, we forget that the people in the Bible are human beings. Apart from God and Christ, every other person is a human being like us. So when things are happening, you wonder who spoilt the initial message, right? Is it not still human beings? So the question here is, what does God intend for you, right? And what does what do the people in the Bible intend for you? So you have to differentiate it. Even now, you go to church and your pastor is preaching something. Most people take what the pastor has said, they forget what the book says, right? They take the interpretation of the pastor and forget what the book says. So I feel like everybody should, whatever religion you're practicing, always seek understanding for yourself. Find out what God is trying to tell you directly. Forget what the other people have interpreted whatever to be. So if you can do that, then maybe the world will be a better place. Maybe religion will not be the reason why people are dying, right? So yeah. Edo said, do you still want to add something to this? Have you formed your thoughts better?
It's funny how people.
Ada spoke my mind.
Okay.
Ada spoke my mind.
Ada, you were saying something. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's funny how when people want to use that submit to your husband's scripture. Well, I don't want to say it's not there, but then Paul wasn't married. He wasn't interested in marriage. He thought it was a body. And then we pick Paul's. We just pick up Paul things on the matter, and this is it. So we don't really read the Bible as a whole. We just pick what you can justify murder in the Bible. You can justify slavery. You can justify anything you want to justify, but you need to check what's God's real intention. How does God see this matter before you start deciding? Okay, so basically,
I have a question. Like, does being submissive, does that in itself make you inferior to the other person?
Can I answer that? Okay. So, okay, let me answer. Then Ada will go. Submission does not mean you're inferior, right? In every relationship, there should be, I use the word compromise, right? Now, where the problem is where they make it seem like as if it's the woman's job to be submissive. That's the problem, because both people in a relationship have to submit to each other for it to work. You cannot stay on your high horse and your pride and your so-called dignity and think that the other person should always succumb to your desires. It doesn't work that way. You have to say, okay, what is your take on this? What's my take on this? Let's come to a compromise. How will both of us live here happy? But today it's a different story.
Exactly.
It is the man's desire. The man's desire. The woman should succumb to the man's desire every time.
But don't you think that that's also people's opinion, and it has to be what you understand by what you've read?
Exactly. You're just helping me. You're helping me make my point. You read the Bible, just like Ada said. Paul, what was Paul's authority on marriage? He wasn't even married. Do you understand? So you have to read the Bible for yourself. So Ada, you were going to say something.
Yeah.
Okay, so submission doesn't mean you are inferior in any way. The same Paul that says submission, and some say there should be mutual submission. I feel like in any relationship there should be accountability, and there cannot be accountability unless there's mutual submission. The only problem women have is when men are demanding, even men that are not even having anything to do with. A man is the head. I thought that on Twitter one day, and the guy was like, "A man is the head," and I'm like, "You didn't complete the scripture. You just said a man is the head. A man is the head of what? Okay, even if a man is the head of his wife, as Christ is the head of the church, how did Christ head the church? He serves the church.
Exactly.
He gave life to the church.
Exactly.
He washed you last week. He served basically. So even in heading, your heading is in service. So not as I'm the head, submit to me. There has to be mutual submission.
Another problem I think women have, especially in Nigeria, is fellow women, the elders, because they are the ones that put this mindset in their daughters, like you have to be submissive to your husband so that your marriage will not fail. If he's beating you, accept the beating. If he's cheating on you, now so men be submissive. I think that's the problem here. And that's why when you ask that question, if I'm a feminist, I said yes, I'm a feminist because I'm not going to accept it for my daughter. Do you understand? I will fight for her. You get me? So that's but as for the question of if the Bible has a role to play in suppressing, no, I don't think so. Because like you also rightly said, it is us that is misinterpreting the Bible to our own selfish needs or desires. Because I think that's just some of the problems or the contradictions that seems to come up with that Bible and feminism stuff, Christianity and feminism stuff.
Yeah, I really like what you said about how women, the previous women, are actually what our problem is this day and age. Because if you think about it, it is what your mother teaches you, at least at first. Like you said, there's upbringing, then there's now a desire to say, okay, you know what, I'm breaking out of this and following my own path. So that upbringing, women have a very large role to play.